Canada has two official languages, so it's officially bilingual, English and French. And of course there is effort to ensure that those languages are both promoted, first of all. Education is a provincial jurisdiction, so I can particularly talk about the most populous province where I come from, and that's Ontario. And within Ontario, of course, we have the language of most education is in English. However, there is French that's delivered to all students from the younger grades of elementary. All students have daily French classes. And of course, many of them choose to take French immersion with their families. As well in Ontario and of course in most provinces, although officially mandated in Ontario, is the International Languages program. So students who have a language other than English or French in the home, or of course parents who choose a third language for their children. The program is mandated, so if there is sufficient interest in the community that is within the school board's jurisdiction, then the school board must offer a third language as well. And of course there is also programs through national and through provincial routes to also protect native languages as well. Sure. At the moment I'm on with a very interesting assignment with the Ottawa-Carleton School Board. Previously I was education officer for international languages and international projects, but at the moment I'm with a Centre of Projects and Exchanges. And it's a very interesting place to work because it's with the Ottawa-Carleton Education Network, which is affiliated with the Ottawa-Carleton School Board. So this is the school system of the capital region of Canada. And my work is primarily to work with many different group projects and group programs for student groups or for teacher groups who come from overseas. And they come for either English language programs, some cultural enrichment programs, or one of the biggest areas is teacher training. So we have many teachers that come from various countries who come to improve their practices in language teaching. Usually it's in the teaching of English that they're looking for. We have had teachers also looking at French language teaching as well before. We've had teachers coming to find out what we do with student evaluation, as well with what we do in inclusive education practices. So how are we recognizing the languages and cultures of our diverse student population? Particularly in the situation of teachers from Spain, we have had many teachers coming who are immersion teachers, and they've come to improve their language skills, but also to find out about teaching practices for when you're teaching a content subject which is not in the dominant language of the student. Sure, gladly. And yes, a lot of language teachers, and especially I would say the teachers of international languages, or what we also call third languages, so the non-official languages after English and French. There's an association called ILEA, International Languages Educators Association, and on the internet it's ilea.ca. And many language teachers, regardless which language actually they teach, have been looking at that association's work because it's a professional body representing educators across the whole province and beyond our province. And we have looked at, in the promotion and the reasoning for the studying of additional languages, whether it's a student's heritage language or whether it's a new language that the student wants to learn, we think there are four key pillars that we promote. One is in the development of the first language of the students is often helpful in the development of additional languages. So if a student speaks a language other than English or French at home, in our situation, then keeping those studies alive for that student recognized in the school system will actually help the student learn one of the dominant official languages that the school system runs in. We have found that to be very useful. Another pillar has been identity. So the more languages that we offer in school systems, the more that we can represent our population, and the more that all the students feel that they're included and that they're part of the school system as a whole. So identity is a very key pillar. The third pillar is personal growth, because we feel that when any student studies another language, it opens up their mind to different cultures, to different ways of expression. And we find that when students learn an additional language to the ones that are official, or even to the ones that they already know, then it gives them more abilities for intercultural communication, being more open to other people, and to being able to understand other cultures better. And finally, the fourth pillar that we feel is important for a multicultural society like Canada, but again, I think every region around the world has become multicultural, is the career enhancement. Because, of course, we feel that with the global community now, with the global forum, and for people to be able to communicate with each other in their careers so quickly, we feel that if students are trying to not only maintain the languages that they know, but also to learn new languages, helps them understand people, communicate better with people, and ultimately allows us to be able to access more career opportunities when people are ready for their careers. So we feel that these four pillars of career enhancement, language learning support, identity, and personal growth are very key in advancing the rationale for language learning as a whole. There's all sorts of great success stories out there, and luckily with my current work I've been able to communicate with many delegations and visitors. I've also had the opportunity to visit schools in different places, and of course I particularly am trained and interested in language issues. So I find that a lot of Canadian educators, I know that we've had some recent communications with Swedes and with Finns. So we've been really interested in finding out what they do in the Nordic countries of Europe very often, mostly because I think we find our systems very comparable. We seem to have a lot in common. We seem to have very similar approaches with academics, but also with social development. And so I find, my personal experience, is that many educators have particularly found useful commentary with educators from Sweden and Finland. Of course, we've also had great communication with educators from Spain, because we've had so many visitors coming from Spain. And I think it's very interesting because there are many official languages in Spain. It's been very interesting to get insight into the importance of keeping the regional language valued and alive and respected. But also I think what's interesting here in Catalonia is that you have such a great effort being put so that new immigrant families can feel that their language is valued, and hopefully they will also value the language of Catalan. So I think in many of the examples where I've seen successes, sometimes it's even an individual teacher. In Canada, I can remember some students who kept their first language alive, learned English, went to French immersion, and by high school they wanted to study German and Spanish. And so when they ended high school, and as they went into university, they had 5 languages that they had already played around with at some level. And from what I found is those students who take that interest in different languages, who keep up the respect in their own language and learn the official languages as well, they also are the first students to want to get to know visiting international students from other countries, exchange students, and so on. So I've seen those kinds of examples in all countries where students take a global interest because they've already taken a very high linguistic interest. I think it's wonderful. I think it's really outstanding. And I want to encourage everyone to continue doing what they're doing, and hopefully they continue to have the support to do even more. I would love to come back to see the building that's in development. I'm very impressed with the work of everyone at Linguamón. And very impressed with the opportunity that we had for the conference and also for the website and the different projects. I think it's an incredible amount of work that's being done by not enough people, from what I can see, but a very passionate group. And I personally would love to see more connections, I think, between our various multilingual-oriented associations and institutions around the world be more formally linked up, because I think all of us are trying to achieve a similar type of citizen. And so I encourage Linguamón to continue with these wonderful projects and ideas that they're doing, because I found myself inspired by being here, by not only talking to the educators, but also the kinds of questions that people ask you and the kind of responses that you get about the things you do. Very encouraging and very motivating.